Well, my friends, we are now an unbelievable 7 months into this prolonged and challenging pandemic. And today I'm actually excited to announce that in October, the Diocese of North Carolina is anticipating entering phase 2 of its reopening plan. Now, before I go much further, let me just say that while we are entering phase 2, that doesn't mean that we're going to always stay there. All of our plans here at St. John's moving forward will now coincide with the infection rate that's happening here in Mecklenburg County. So while we are now clear to enter phase 2, we may need to drop back to phase 1 or phase 1B as that infection rate changes. So, what does phase 2 mean for us at St. John's? Well, it means that at long last we'll now be able to gather in our building in small groups for various purposes. However, in order to do that safely, we all have to work together and follow a number of guidelines to keep one another safe. And keep in mind that St. John's is home to lots of folks who are at higher risk for COVID-19. So please, let's all do our best to be our brother's keeper. In order to do that, in this video, I'm going to go over some guidelines of how we can gather as safely as possible. First, when you use our building, please always make sure that you are symptom-free, that you wear a mask, you keep physical distance of 6 feet or more from others, and sanitize your hands often. That's so important. Also, we would like to keep the bathroom and elevator used to one person or family unit at a time, and please wear your mask in those settings. Additionally, we're asking people not to use the first floor preschool area, as the preschool has certain protocols it needs to follow, and using that area would interfere with those plans. We're also asking people not to socialize at St. John's in common areas, but to simply go to and from your meeting, worship, or other activity. I know that's going to be a difficult one because we all want to see and be with one another. But congregating indoors is where obviously we're seeing lots of issues with this virus. So of course, if you want to go outside and talk in the parking lot, that's certainly acceptable, but please always wear your mask and maintain your distance. In terms of worship, the good news is many of us have had our lots of good practice gathering together in outdoor worship. In many ways, we're going to be doing the same thing that we've been doing outdoors, indoors, with just some few changes and a few differences. Some of the things that will be the same are, well, your need to sign up to attend, printing your bulletin at home or scanning the QR code using your smartphone when you get here. You will, of course, still need to wear a mask. The offering place will be stationary and not passed, and there'll be no passing of the peace or singing or choir, just like we've been doing outside. When it comes to the liturgy, as it applies to acolytes, ushers, and so on, we'll do things on a limited basis at first, just like we were doing outside, and then expanding as we move forward. So no changes with any of those offerings at the moment. Some of the things that will be different are as follows. First, the service times are going to change because, of course, now we're in a climate-controlled environment. So we will gather just like we used to at 8:45, 11:15, and 5 p.m. on Sundays. There will be no 7:30 service at this point. Because diocesan guidelines require us to have a sufficient amount of time between worship services to allow for aerosol dispersal, we will gather at 8:45 in the nave, 11:15 in the parish hall, and 5 p.m. back in the nave. Both the 8:45 and 11:15 services will be a traditional Rite to service with Holy Communion, just like they were in the past. And the 5 p.m. service will be evening prayer with communion, just as before. Additionally, we will continue to offer our Wednesday service at 9 a.m., but that service will take place in the nave at the main altar instead of outside. When you arrive at church, if you've signed up to attend worship here in the nave, you will enter as you normally would and just come into this space and check in. If you've signed up for the 11:15 parish hall service, we'll be asking folks to enter the room from the outside of the building, just like when you went to the outdoor service, but now walking in through the parish hall. In terms of seating will be provided both in the parish hall and in the nave, with the pews in the nave indicating which rows are going to be for the 8:45 service and which rows are for the 5 p.m. service. When receiving communion in worship, there'll be some changes there as well. These changes are all outlined in the diocesan reopening plan. Instead of receiving the host in the little metal cup like we've been doing outside, now you'll be able to approach the celebrant standing, who, after sanitizing their hands, will simply drop the host into your cupped hands, where you will take it back to your seat, lift your mask, and consume it. Finally, we will, of course, continue to offer our pre-recorded worship services as well. The hope is that after Christmas, we may be able to return to live streaming what happens in person here in the nave, but please stay tuned for more information about that as those plans are still developing and are in the works. So now let's move on from worship and talk about small group meetings. Turns out in phase 2 of the diocesan plan, we are now be able to begin gathering in the building for small group purposes as well. Small groups being 15 or less for meetings like Bible studies, committee meetings, and so on. This means that, for instance, our youth group will be able to meet inside instead of outside. Meeting inside, they will use well-ventilated large rooms, large enough for them to maintain the appropriate amount of social distance with some fans in the windows and that sort of thing. The same concept holds true for adults as well. So if you are a Bible study or some similar group, please reach out to me if you're interested in using the building, and I will get you more details on what's required, like where to meet, such as keeping attendance, use of common touch objects, and the like. I should also say that during this phase, due to guidelines and the cleaning capacity of our staff, the building will remain closed for all outside church groups such as Boy Scouts, AA, and so on. And availability will really be limited for us as well. But we will obviously do our best to accommodate folks on an as-needed basis. In terms of outreach, during phase 2, our outreach groups will continue as they have been, serving the general public using a drive-up system if we need to, just like Hagar's Basket has been doing a great job at. Finally, our offices will also be reopening, but in a limited way with yet more changes. First, our office hours will be Tuesday through Thursday, 9 to 4. We will unfortunately not have a receptionist, and we would like for people to make an appointment with the staff person they're going to meet with ahead of their arrival. One of the reasons for this is that we're not going to be able to meet with parishioners in individual staff offices, so we'll need to come up with a safe place to meet on campus that's available, clean, and well ventilated. Also, please keep in mind that there's some construction going on here with the Rejuvenate campaign process, so it's always good to call ahead and just see what's going on for that reason as well. Well, I know that's a lot to take in. As you can see, there are a lot of new and exciting opportunities, but also a number of complexities and new behaviors and norms to get used to during this time. So please feel free to reach out to me or others on our staff if you have any questions. Finally, I just want to say for those who want to be a bit more cautious and aren't ready to come back in person or take that risk, please know that I and everyone on our staff completely understands and respects that decision. In fact, for those who are high risk, I would still urge you to be vigilant in your caution for the foreseeable future. And of course, we will continue to do our best to provide a good online experience for worship and small group meetings and the like. My friends, I think that's all for now. As I said, please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Please know that you are in our prayers. Please keep us in your prayers as we move forward. God bless you all. Goodbye for now.